Welcome back. So in this particular video, we're going to talk about one of the more cynical interpretations of management, and this is one that is inspired by Karl Marx. The market capitalism model is looking at, more or less the Adam Smith version of management, with maybe a little bit of Austrian economics in there. Looking at the manager as someone who is economically or rationally motivated. The firm is driven by profit, all within this context of a socio-political and market environment. Okay, great. Marx, Karl Marx, not Groucho, would argue that what managers are doing, and he's not advocating that managers behave in this way, he's observing that managers behave in this way. Okay, that's an important distinction. But Marx says that there's a larger environment out there, which is what we might call a socio-material environment. Now, what's a socio-material environment? Think about the fact that there is new technology coming out all the time, right? And this new technology, especially things like social media, can provide a different kind of socio-material environment. How is this important? Because if you're always getting all of your information from like TikTok or Facebook or YouTube, that can alter the way that you process information. It can provide new forms of domination, right? Because let's face it, I can bombard you with enough information on YouTube or whatever that it's going to alter the way that you think. That's something that social media can do. Now that can be altering the way you think in a good way, or it can be altering the way you think in a bad way. I'm not making that assessment. But what I am saying is that it provides for different forms of domination. Okay? Think about, for example, England was an island. Still is an island, like Britain is an island, I guess I should say. That's a better way to phrase it. Britain is an island. The kinds of domination that historically have existed in Britain have mostly been internally focused, right? And you think about why. Because that ocean, for many generations, protected Britain from outside invaders. It served as kind of a barrier. Whereas individuals on continental Europe had to worry about threats both inside their country and from their neighbors as well. Britain at least had a little bit of water to protect them from that. So that's also kind of a socio-material environment, the material being the water and the geographical location of England, okay, with the water surrounding it. So different kinds of environments provide for different kinds of domination. Now I spoke about it in the absolute largest context, but we can also look within the firm itself, right? And this can be something very simple like the way you organize desks, okay? Are you the kind of person that maybe sets up your office in such a way that you're sitting at the back of the room and you can see what's on everybody's monitor? That's part of a socio-material environment. It facilitates monitoring. Okay? Maybe you consider that a good thing to monitor or micromanage your employees. Maybe you consider it a bad thing. Nonetheless, the way an office like that would be arranged provides one form of control, whereas maybe you allow workers to come and go as they please, maybe working at home or maybe not, and that allows for a very different kinds of control mechanisms. Okay. This is the environmental piece. Now this model basically puts business and or governments at the top of a pyramid. You could alternatively say this is like the 1%ers. When Karl Marx was writing, he was like almost like a top 10%er, although today we have more of like a top 1%er. Okay? So business and government have some sort of a relationship at the top that's designed to dictate its interests to society. So in this particular perspective, your role as a manager would be to have almost success in interacting with government and finding ways to thrive within the socio-material environment and within the laws and institutions of a government. So by thriving in that environment, you find new ways to extract value from society. This is a very cynical view of management, right? But you have to remember, this comes from Karl Marx, and he's writing, when is Karl Marx writing? We're looking at 1840s or so, and this was a very dark period of Western history where, factory owners were pretty much calling the shots politically, and they were basically running almost to the most minute detail and ruining almost the most minute detail the lives of society. Now we still see elements of this even today, right? You do see a lot of managers that believe that it's okay to exploit workers and it's okay to exploit society as long as they have managed to manipulate the socio-material environment and the governmental environment to suit their interests. It's something that exists. So this is a very top-heavy model. In other words, those at the top are the wealthy ones, the wealthiest ones. They're the ones that bear all the power. This is the manager that is at the top of the organization. And it places a high degree of separation between the elites and the non-elites. If you're looking at a manager is somebody who's not your buddy and is not your coach. And it's not someone you go out and have a drink with. This is somebody who is separated from you. This is somebody who is very different from you. They don't function in the same way. I hate that whole thing that they're different than you. I did a consulting project in one place, and everybody would get out of the elevator when the CEO got in the elevator because they wanted to make sure that person had, the elevator to themselves. This was a company in Japan. I thought it was ridiculous, but that's the way they did it. But that's a good example of this in action. Okay. And yeah, now you're probably thinking, and hopefully you're thinking this, I wonder if some of Marx's critiques are relevant to today, right? Well, Marx was criticizing the top 10% of the population. We're criticizing quite frequently in popular media the top 1% of the population. So the dominance model may still have a place. Now, the counter-argument to this is, well, maybe it's not always bad that there are certain people at the top of the pyramid making decisions. Maybe they're like enlightened despots. They're these really, really smart people who are different than us, but they're benevolent and they're able to make decisions that are beneficial to our own interests. I'm not sure that I buy that argument, but there are people who do. And there are top managers who believe that they know better than their workers and that somehow they are enlightened and they are looking after their workers. However, most workers don't really feel that way. So I suppose it's a matter of perspective. The enlightened despot perspective may be true, situationally true for those at the top, but may not be true for those at the bottom, right? Hard to say. So, we've got two more ethical models here that are very different than the first two that I've shown you. As always, if you like this video, hit the thumbs up, that's a like. Hit that subscribe button, and if you're one of my students, make your comments down below. I'll see you in the next video.